Hi everybody, Kathy Sire from Confident Leader Journey here. And what I'd like to do is an occasional series where we look at some of the theories commonly used in leadership and management and maybe explore them a little bit. So if they're theories that you already know, this would be a refresher or a reminder. And if they're ones you haven't come across before, there'll be an overview for you. So in this vlog, I'm going to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, a lot of us know this, and it's a triangle. And this is often presented as a motivational theory. And what Maslow posited in this model, which is used a lot in business, is that we are motivated by different things depending on where we are in our life at that stage. And there are layers of need. So let me go through those layers for you, and you'll see how this works. So at the bottom of the triangle is physiological needs. So this would be air, water, feed, shelter, sleep, clothing, etc. Basic needs. Now, if those aren't met, then getting them will motivate us to act. But if they are met, they won't be motivators so much as what they call hygiene factors. So once those needs are met, we start looking for something more in life. What comes after physiological needs are safety needs. Now, this is personal security, employment, resources, health, property, those kinds of safety needs. So it's a little bit like, first of all, we need our fundamental physiological needs taken care of. Once those are taken care of, we start looking for security and safety. The next layer is, if we feel safe and our physiological needs are being met, then love and belonging comes in as a driver for our actions. So friendship, intimacy, family, a sense of connection. Once that's established, we then start exploring the issue of self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. Now you can see how these build on each other. And Maslow posited that if we're stuck trying to sort out our physiological needs, then there is no point dangling self-esteem benefits in front of us to motivate us, because we'll be so focused on our physiological needs, we will not be motivated by anything that's above that in the hierarchy. If our physiological needs are met, then you need to offer us something to do with safety, and that will motivate us. And so our driving forces change depending on what needs we have. Now, this all came about because Maslow was researching what's at the top of this pyramid. And his original book was called The Farther Reaches of Human Nature and focused completely on the topic of self-actualization. Now, self-actualization is the desire to become the most that one can be, and it's at the top of this pyramid. And his actual work was focused on the fact that rather than look at psychology from a scientific behaviorist point of view, where we're driven by external factors, or the deep Freudian psychoanalysis, which is about deep inner factors, he created like a third approach, humanistic psychology. So rather than just seeing humans as machines responding to the environment or as the pawns of subconscious forces, he saw human beings as creative, free-willed, and wanting to fulfill their potential. And this was the radical thing about his original work, was that he was positing that self-actualization is the pinnacle of motivation for most people, and that everyone is capable of achieving it given the right environment, knowledge, information, support, and skills. And that we need to be aware of that. Now, quite often, the hierarchy of needs is used actually as I described it. You know, we give people the physiological needs, then the safety needs, then the love and belonging, and then the esteem. But quite often, what so many people forget is the core and underlying driving force is this self-actualization, and these other needs are stepping stones to getting there. So it's not that, well, we just need to make sure the physiological needs are met and people can find these other things elsewhere. As a leader, how can we create an environment, systems and processes where someone can actually focus on self-actualization? He actually studied people who he saw as having achieved full humanness, which is what he called this. And his view was that these were the people who were self-actualized. They were fulfilling themselves. He then explored why it was that so few people appear to reach that level. And that's when he started identifying some of these other factors that we have to focus our energy on before we can look at self-actualization. He also identified a couple of other things like the Jonah complex and various other elements. But the key thing is that Maslow had a fundamental belief that self-actualization is a core driver for everyone, and that these are just stepping stones for getting there. Now, if you think about that, that's a slight twist on how it's usually used. We often forget that his core theme was that everybody is capable of self-actualization. And if we want to obtain their full humanness in their lives and in the workplace, then we have to work out how to create an environment where that can happen. Now, we don't have control over the whole environment that people are in. Okay? So, for example, some people might be constrained and actually be challenged with physiological needs, safety needs, etc. But as leaders, what can we do? What can we focus on? And it's interesting because some later explorations of this have shown that even when people are struggling outside of work with physiological safety needs, etc., they can still at work be working at the esteem or self-actualization level if they feel that the workplace itself is fulfilling the lower needs. So it's interesting that people could feel and be self-actualized in one area while still dealing with some of the lower level needs in the hierarchy in other areas. And perhaps that's where, to me, that's where leadership comes in. Regardless of someone's personal circumstances, regardless of the challenges they're facing, can I, as a leader, create the systems, processes, and environment where the people I'm leading feel they can focus on their self-esteem and their self-actualization in the workplace? If I can do that, then at least for part of their life, they are reaching and achieving self-actualization. And it means a fundamental difference in the teams I'm working with, in the thinking that's happening, the creativity. And Maslow himself did see a very tight connection between people being self-actualized and the level of creativity they brought into their lives and into their work. Now, one of the things that was interesting was that when this became taken into the business world, it was latched onto very quickly as a way of seeing we need these building blocks so that people can be self-actualized. And that's the value of the hierarchy of needs and why Maslow created it and worked on developing it. Because even within your company as a leader, are your people getting the money they need? Are they being paid a wage which enables them to live and focus when they're at work rather than worrying about these basic needs? Do they have the safety and personal security? And this is where diversity, equality, and inclusion comes in. If people don't feel included and part, they won't feel safe and they won't feel that love and belonging that's a prerequisite for this self-actualization. Do your systems and processes build esteem or erode it? And one of the things I'd like to point you to there is your performance appraisal systems. So often performance appraisals build the esteem of the top 10%, but actually erode it for everybody else. And they can disengage people and be an active block to them achieving self-actualization in work. Okay? So when you find someone and they're not, motivated with a desire to become the most that they can be in the workplace, it's not a judgment of them as an individual. It's a judgment of the workplace. And as leaders, we can use tools and insights such as Maslow's hierarchy of needs to help us understand this. Now, in a future vlog, I'm going to go to a more complex view of looking at needs by looking at spiral dynamics in the original work that led to it. But for now, let's just think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and what we as leaders can do and are doing to create the possibility of self-actualization in the workplace. Okay, Kathy Syrett from Confident Leader Journey. Find us on Facebook. Confident Leader Journey Community has links to the vlogs and the blogs that come from them, and hope to see you there. Take care.